Dear colleagues, I'll present to you an investigation of making of twist patterns with authors Krasimira Radieva and Zlatina Kazlacheva from the Faculty of Technics and Technologies of Yambol, Trakia University, Bulgaria. The twists, knots, bows are feminine elements in women's fashion. Different combinations between twist and knots with bows are possible. A study on their pattern making is made, and it shows that the constructional approaches can be more useful if mathematical dependencies between values of design and constructional elements are obtained. The paper presents an investigation of making of twist patterns of women's clothes with aim the obtaining of mathematical dependencies between values of the main design and constructional elements of twist and bow. A dependence between the diameter of the knot and the width of the bands of the bow in the place of twist, and a dependency of determination of difference between the lengths of the bands before and after twist. Pattern making approach. A prototype and a front pattern of a woman's twist dress in which a knot with a single twist makes a bow are shown. The bands of the bow are constructed with modification of the darts, similarly to the studied pattern-making approaches. A dependence between the diameter of the knot and the width of the bands of bow in the place of twisting is important and useful because it gives possibility for variety of designs with different values of the diameter of knot and the width of bands of the bow. The obtaining of this dependence is important not only for design solutions. It is important for the constructing too, because if the bow is embedded in a part of a cloth, the width of the place between both bows bands have to be equal to the diameter of the single twist knot. The equal width and diameter don't allow untying of the knot. A dependency of determination of difference between the lengths of the bands before and the length a dependence of determination of difference between the length of the bands before and the length of the bands after twist, or shortening of the length of the bands after twisting, is important and useful too, because it gives possibility of correct determination of the lengths of both bands after and before twisting. And the methodology of the presented investigation. The dependency between the diameter of the knot and the width of the bands of the bow in the place of twisting, and the dependency of determination of difference between the lengths of the bands before and after twist, are searched with the help of linear regressions. This statistical method allows easy sizing in the field of fashion design and pattern making. And the obtaining of the first dependency. Dependency between the diameter of the knot and the width of the bands of the bow in the place of twisting. This dependency have to be appropriate for women's clothes made by different fabrics. By this reason, 15 fabrics in different thickness and structure, which are suitable for women's dresses and ensembles, are chosen. From all fabrics, pairs, bands of bows are made by rectangle double fabric pieces with variety of widths between 10 and 20 centimeters. The width of the bands is limited between 10 and 20 centimeters because the width bigger than 20 centimeters is not suitable for twisting. If a bow with bigger width is designed, its bands have to be in trapezium form with width in the place of twist, maximum 20 centimeters. The width smaller than 20 centimeters doesn't form a good looking bow. The pairs bands of all fabrics and widths are twisted. Bows with single twist knots are made. Good looking knots are neither too tight nor too loose. For every combination between fabric and width, the twists are made 5 times. For a part of fabrics, it is seen that the bands with small width don't form good-looking bows or knots after twisting. And by this reason, after analysis of results and new bands making, the smaller width of bands is changed from 10 to 11.5 centimeters. After every twisting, the diameter of the knot is measured. The values of measurement are applied in an one-factor linear regression analysis made with software Statistica 7. The used linear regression model is shown with Formula 1, which is the traditional formula, the traditional equation of one-factor linear regression. In presented investigation, the Formula 1 is modified in equation 2, in which the diameter of the knot is dependent variable and the width of the bands of the bow in the place of twist is the independent variable in presented one-factor linear regression analysis. And this slide presents the results of one-factor linear regression, and the accuracy of the regression results is confirmed by the values of the statistical significance P, the coefficient of determination R square, and the standard error of estimate. On the basis of the correct regression results, Formula 2 is transformed in dependence-free. Dependence of linear interaction between diameter of the knot and the width of bands of the bow in the place of twisting. it is seen that value of the constant A, which is equal to 0.07, is minor, and by this reason the dependence free is transformed in easy dependence 4, which can be directly integrated in design and constructing of women's clothes with a single twist knot, which forms a bow. For example, in the pattern presented in previous slides, the diameter of the knot is equal to 3.4 centimeters, and it is determined using equation 4 on the base of the width of bands of the bow, which is 12 centimeters. The bow is integrated in the front, and by this reason the diameter of the knot is used for sizing of the place of the knot location. And the obtaining of the second dependency of determination of difference between the lengths of the bands before and after twist. All twists are used in the second stage of the study, and all bands are measured before and after twist, and the presented second stage of investigation use two-factor linear regression, in which the dependent variable is the difference between the lengths of the bands before and after twist, or shortening of the lengths of the bands after twisting. The independent variables are the width of bands of the bow in the place of twisting and the diameter of the knot. And the two-factor linear regression model in this investigation is presented with Formula 7. The results of the two-factor linear regression are presented after Formula 7, and the correctness of the regression results is verified by the values of the statistical significance P, the coefficient of determination R square, and the standard error of estimate. On the basis of the correct regression results, Formula 7 is transformed in dependence 8. And the linear interaction between the dependent variable and the independent variables in two-factor regressions model is presented in the graphics. The dependency 8 can be directly integrated in pattern making of women's clothes with a single twist knot which form a bow, as the calculated value of the shortening of the lengths of the bands after twisting is added equally to the lengths of the bands of bow. As example, in the pattern presented in previous slides, the shortening is 5.55 centimeters and it is calculated using Formula 8. And conclusion, the obtained mathematical dependencies between the diameter of the knot and the width of bands of the bow in the place of twist and the determination of the difference between the lengths of the bands before and after twisting give possibilities for variety of design decisions and correct pattern making of women's clothes with single twist knots which form bows. The applying of the dependencies minimized the number of experimental samples, whether they are real or are 3D software simulations. The minimized number of samples decreases the time of creative process and reduces the cutting pollution if real prototypes are made, which is important for the sustainability in fashion. Similar investigation of design and pattern making of women's clothes with double twist knot which form bows, which double twist knots which form bows can be realized. And thank you for your attention.